Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. Welcome to tizoguitar. If you're new here, my name is Tyler Griffiths. I go by Tizo, and this channel is all about learning guitar with a special focus on R&B music in particular. Um, if that is something you're into, please consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the little bell so that you know next time I go live. Typically, I'll be going live on Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, but things might change in the future, so definitely have that bell clicked so you don't miss it when I'm on. Hopefully everybody's doing well today. As the title of the live stream suggests, we're going to be learning about the number system. This is part 2, so if you missed last week's stream, we kind of just did a quick crash course on the number system, how it works, why it's useful, or crash course, yeah. How it works, why it's useful, and kind of just broke down really quickly how you can go about going through all 7 chords in a key. Now this week, I want to bring it back a little bit. We're going to just dial it in. We're going to slow it down and break it down and kind of give you a way that you can go through the number system. I'm going to give you one method. And I also have on my Patreon page, I have some tabs and some practice files that will show you 4 methods for going through all 7 chords. Mostly it revolves around just breaking it up between chords that start on the 6th string or the low E string, and chords that have their root on the 5th string or the A string. All right, today we're going to be going over chords that have their root on the A string. So this is going to be one that's very practical. I want you to grab your guitar. Disclaimer, this is more of an intermediate type lesson. You will need to know the notes on the low E string and the A string, of course. You're also going to need to know how to play bar chords. All right, I'm going to show you all the shapes that we'll be using, but if you are unable to play bar chords currently, you'll have to go and kind of work on those. Take the shapes that I show you today and just add that to your practice routine so you can follow along with the video. All right, all that being said, go ahead and grab your guitar. Let's get right to it. So let me show you real quickly what we're looking at. Let's see. Over, and we'll zoom in. So what we're going to be going through, this is the tab that you're going to see if you grab this from Patreon. It'll be in PDF format. This is Guitar Pro, the program I'm using. But you'll see this, it has all the different shapes. So we're going to be going over these first 8 measures together. And what we're doing is we're using 7th chords. So you have to know your 7th chord voicings. I'm going to show you those in just a second. But we're going to be using these and we're going to be going through the number system, which is basically just a way of going through the chords in a key and assigning a number 1 through 7 to those chords. The benefits of this are, there's a ton of benefits, but the main one is being able to quickly find the chords to songs that we're trying to learn, and also to be able to play with other musicians and quickly communicate the chord changes to one another. So there's going to be a total of 4 unique shapes. I'm going to show you those right now. All right. And if you get any value out of what we go over today, please don't forget to do all the fun stuff that the algorithm loves so that more people can see my channel. Like, subscribe, comment, share, you know the deal. It really does help the channel, and it's absolutely free. Alrighty. So let's go over these chord shapes real quick. Okay, pull up, little window. Okay, so you'll see in the bottom right, that's the first chord shape we'll be doing. It is a bar chord on fret 3, and the view is kind of flipped and upside down from what you'd be looking at if you look straight down. So what I mean by that is that this bottom string here, that's your thickest string. So that would be the low E string. This is the A string, this is the D string, G, B, and E. All right, so it's kind of going up. It's the opposite of what you'd see. But for this first one, we're going to be doing a major 7 shape. All right, so we'll first bar from the A string down with our index finger. All right, then we're going to put our ring finger on fret 5 of the D string. We're going to put our middle finger on fret 4 of the G string. And we're going to put our pinky on fret 5 of the B string. And so to play that chord, we just play from the A string all the way down. All right, so the only string that we're not using is that low E string. That's the first voicing. Now the next one you'll need for the number system is a minor 7 shape. So we'll just swap this out. Let's play a C minor 7. Do it like that. Okay, so very, very close. The bar finger is going to stay exactly where it is. Your ring finger is going to stay exactly where it is. And you're going to put your middle finger on the 4th fret of the B string this time. So it'll sound like this. All right, so that is our minor 7 shape. So major 7 and minor 7. And because these chords are going to have their root note on the A string, so here we have C, this would be C minor 7. If I were to change it back to the major 7 shape, this would be C major 7. And all these chord shapes are movable as well. So as you move it down, if I were to take this whole shape and move it down here, now it becomes a D sharp or an E flat major 7. So that's what we want to be able to do, is not just learn the shape, but be able to move them around intentionally to find the specific chord we want. If we want a D major 7, it's fret 5. If you want an E major 7, it's fret 6. If you want an F sharp major 7, it's fret 9. So on and so forth. But that shape never changes, just the location. All right, so this is 2 of the chords we need to know. The 3rd chord is a dominant 7. So let's go back to the 3rd fret. That's our home base. And dominant 7, it's almost like the minor 7. We just bring our finger down to fret 5 on that B string. So once again, bar from the A string down on fret 3, ring finger, fret 5 of the D string, and this time pinky can go on fret 5 of the B string. So you can even think about it like the major 7 shape, but just lift your middle finger off. That's going to give you the dominant 7 sound. All right, that's C dominant 7. And the last shape that we need to know is going to be a minor 7 flat 5 chord. It might sound really complicated, but it's exactly what we were doing before. Think about it. We played the minor 7 like this. All right, let me go back to that. The minor 7 was played like this, so the minor 7 flat 5, we just take that 5th note of the chord, which happens to be G, and we flatten it. We bring it up a fret towards the tuners, and so now we have a minor 7 flat 5. Take this note out here too. So the way that we'll play this one, we'll do index finger. It's going to go on the 3rd fret of the A string. We're going to do ring finger on fret 4 of the D string. We're going to do middle finger on fret 3 of the G string. And we're going to do fret 4 of the B string with our pinky. So it's just like the minor 7. We're just flattening that 5th note and kind of rearranging our fingers. Or you could even think about it like a major 7, where we just drop our bar finger down 1 fret. So that's kind of 2 ways of thinking about it. Minor 7, flatten the 5, or major 7, bring down the root. Okay, so that was really quick. Let me just check chat and see if we have any questions. Let's see. If you do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and I will get to them as soon as possible. There is about a 30-second delay between questions that you ask and when I see them. So definitely be patient, and if I have an answer for you, I'll give it. So far we've gone over the 4 different chord shapes that we need to know to go through the number system for right now. So I'm gonna put that there. Okay, so now that we know those chord shapes, the next step is now we're going to apply these chord shapes in a pattern. So it's really cool. It's really important that you know the major scale, at least how to build that major scale on 1 string. And we did go over this last time. It's basically just following a sequence of whole steps and half steps. Whole steps means jump by 2 frets. Half step means move by 1 fret. So that's a half step. That's a whole step. And the major scale formula is going to be whole step from the starting point. So another whole step. Then we're going to do a half step. Then a whole step. Then a whole step. then a whole step, and finally a half step. Will bring us right back to the first note. So this note here and this note here are the same letter note, just a different octave. It's just a higher pitched version of that note C. So when we're applying the number system and we're using those chord shapes, we're going to start with our major 7 on the first part. So our index finger is holding down that first note. All right. Then we're going to slide up a whole step and we're going to play a minor 7 shape. Next, we're going to keep that same minor 7 shape and slide it up a whole step. So now we have our bar finger on fret 7. Now we have our half step movement, so we're going to go slide up 1 half step. So now we're on fret 8 with our bar finger, and we're going to plug in the major 7 shape again. Now we're going to slide up a whole step. So now our bar finger's on fret 10, and we're going to plug in our dominant 7 shape. All right. Then we're going to go up a whole step again. So now our bar is on the 12th fret, and we're going to play a minor 7 shape. Then we're going to go up a whole step one more time, and we're going to plug in our minor 7 flat 5 shape. And then we're going to go up a whole step for the last time and play our major 7 shape. All right, so it's just a matter of sliding down the roots of all of our chord shapes. We're sliding down by following that major scale formula. Just plugging the chords in. All right, that last chord is a very tight squeeze, but it's just manageable. Okay, so that's the first version of how you would go through the number system. Now, the question is, why does any of that matter? Why do you need to know the number system, or why do you need to know that pattern? Well, the biggest thing is being able to find the chords that you need to play as quickly as possible. If you're in a situation where you play with other people, that becomes very crucial. If someone has to make a change, or they need to, maybe the singer wants to sing the song in a different key, but you practice in one key, you'll be able to make that transition because you know, all right, as long as I know where my starting point is, I can just apply the same movements as far as like moving down a whole step each time, whatever it is, finding the same movements to play the right chord progression, but just playing it in a different key than I learned it. That's super useful if you are playing with others. Now, if you're someone who gets to, or doesn't get the opportunity to play with others, or maybe not that frequently, it is really helpful from an ear training and basically an ear training perspective, but also being able to learn songs really quickly. Because if you are someone who, maybe you like a specific genre of music, right? So let's say you play R&B. What you're gonna find is as you're learning more and more songs in that genre, you're going to start seeing the same types of chord progressions. And this, especially if you understand how the number system works, you'll see that, oh wow, there's a lot of songs that use the 2, the 3, and the 6 chord. Or there's a lot of songs that use 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever it may be. Every genre has its very, usually it's not that, It's not that many progressions that are typically used within a genre. So you might have maybe 4 or 5 or 6 that are very common and you'll see in tons of songs. So once you learn the sound of those, right, it's not just a matter of learning how to play the song, but once you learn the sound of what a 2-3-6 sounds like, or what a 2-5-1 progression sounds like, if you're hearing a song on the radio and you know that you recognize that progression, no matter what key it's in, but you recognize that progression because you've played it so many times, it becomes like it's a matter of seconds or minutes to actually know how to play that song. That was something that I thought was like mind-blowing years ago, how somebody could listen to a song one time and then play it. And I'm like, wow, how are they doing this? But really it just boils down to they've put in the time to learn the number system. They've spent a lot of time in their genre learning what the common progressions are, and they know how to find the key. So once you can find the key, you apply the number system, and it becomes very, very easy to learn any song you want. Now there are certain songs that deviate from the patterns, but for right now, we're just focusing on the basic number system using our 7th chord voicings, all right? So for instance, when we're talking about R&B using a lot of 2, 3, and 6 chords, so like I'm sure you guys have heard this song before. Let's see. Right? Very sloppy, but I'm sure you've heard that song before. And so you might be in a situation where maybe you've learned how to play that song or you would like to. But when you think about it in terms of the number system, now that whole situation becomes movable. So what that progression is, they're doing the 6 chord, they're moving to the 3 chord, to the 4 chord, to a modified version of the 2. So it goes 6, 3, 4, 2. All right, and so if you know that movement, you can move it anywhere. You can take it up to the key of, let's see, this would be G, so it would be B flat. All right, and so that gives you flexibility. So now if you want to play that song, maybe you're an artist and you want to perform a cover of that song, but the key of the song is a little bit too high for you or too low, whatever it may be, you can always move that shape around. You're not locked into just learning it from a YouTube video and then that's the only place you know how to play it. So how I recommend practicing this is I want you to use something called the circle of fourths or circle of fifths. You should be able to find a diagram of it if you just Google circle of fourths image or whatever. And what you'll see is it'll be a circle that has 12 letters going around it. Usually C is at 12 o'clock. If you're thinking about like a regular watch face, C is at 12 o'clock. Depending on which one you have, it'll be F sharp or G flat at 6 o'clock. Whatever it is, you start on C, and what you would do, just like we did earlier, what you'll do is you'll take the number system, you'll apply it. Let's say you want to just do it in 7th chords like we learned. Starting on C, that's the first one on the number system, or the circle of fourths or fifths. Start it with C, run through those chord shapes. It doesn't have to be fast. But what you're trying to do is build the muscle memory. All right, so I just went from C major 7 up here on fret 3 to C major 7 on fret 15. I'm trying to build that muscle memory of what it feels like to jump between those chords. Of course, songs, every song isn't going to just be straight up and down the number system, but what you'll eventually learn is how to go in between the ones. So if you want to go from the 1 to the 4, or the 3 to the 7, you have to be very familiar with that. So run through it a couple times, go from C major 7 to C major 7. Then you'll go to the next key or the next letter on the circle of fourths or fifths. If it's a circle of fourths, you'll be going to the F. So you'll start an F, and you'll just apply that same pattern. Eventually, if you start on a higher, probably around fret 7 or fret 8, if you start around there, it's going to be kind of hard to get those chord shapes in. And so you will want to know multiple chord shapes for each of these chords. So not just this C major 7, but you want to know this one too. And possibly this one. Because then you have options. You don't have to just go all the way down the fretboard and get up here and, frets 24 and all that, or running out of space, where the chord is past where your fretboard ends. So that's the next progression after that. So what you do is do C, do it starting from F, then you do it starting from B flat, then you do it from E flat. You just go all the way through the number system in all 12 keys. And so now you have that ultimate flexibility of I can play this anywhere on the fretboard, not just where I learned it initially. Okay? And then there are other versions of being able to go down the number system, which are in that tab that you can find on my Patreon page. But it'll show you how to go. If you're getting to the spot where you're running out of room going down the fretboard, you could jump up to the voicings that have their root on the low E string and continue it that way. So you'd be like 1, 2, 3, and then you would go 4. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be the 5, sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to the 1. So now you can kind of move around without having to go just all the way down, for that chord sequence. And there's multiple ways to do that, like I said. So there's 4 that I share in that PDF, and there's even more ways to do it than that. But I think with just those 4, you should be able to have a lot of flexibility in finding those chords for your songs. All right, so that is pretty much it. That was pretty quick. Now I will open the floor for questions. If you have any questions, just let me know. It can be about today's topic, it can be about something else in general. But if anything that I went over today was a little bit over your head or you're feeling kind of confused, there's 2 things I recommend. So the first thing is the way I learned all this stuff is what I did. I looked up as many different videos as I could about the number system on YouTube, and I just watched them all. And eventually it got to the point where you hear so many people saying the same exact thing that it starts to sink in. So you're like, okay, if I'm in the key of C major, C is the 1, D is the 2, so on and so forth. But just do it over an extended period of time. So for me, it was probably a process of about 4 years of trying to learn everything I could about music theory. When I found the number system stuff, I watched all the videos about that. I also have a membership to pickupmusic.com, plug for them. They have really good about teaching not just songs and different styles of music, but they also do really good breakdowns of music theory. So I watched all their stuff on the number system. And then it's a matter of inserting that stuff into your playing, So if you want to really practice this, pick a song that you already know the chords to, map out the scale, figure out what the numbers are for those chords. So if it's G major, C major, D major, then that would be a 1, 4, 5 if you're in the key of G. So G, C, D, 1, 4, 5. Then I would go ahead and apply that. Let's play that 1, 4, 5 in the key of C. Move it around. Now let's play it in the key of F, B flat, E flat, and get to the point where you can really play it. Just pick simple songs, not super complicated ones, but really simple 3 and 4 chord songs. Try practicing those in all 12 keys and move that around. Then make a lot more sense. So let's see. Check and chat now. Guitar Reese says, what's the best way to remember all the keys? So the best way to remember all the keys is you don't really need to. The best way to do it is over time. That's the answer. So give yourself plenty of time, talking years, not weeks and months. Find a handful, maybe 2 or 3 keys. Work on one at a time, right? So practice in the key of C major. That's the best one to start out with because it has no sharps or flats. Very straightforward. Practice in C major. Then you might want to go and increase in the number of flats or sharps. If you follow the order of the circle of fourths, C has no sharps or flats, F has 1 flat, B flat has 2 flats. Maybe just start there with those 3 keys and just learn by applying that number system pattern that we went over. Just get used to those and what the chords are, what the notes are, what you would expect to play if a song was in that key, and then move on. Or maybe if you're learning a song and you find out that it's in a different key, then practice that key for a little bit. But just mainly give yourself a lot of time to understand that stuff. It's about repetition. It's not about sitting down and writing down and memorizing the notes. It's about using them. And Guitar Reese also says, what are the most popular keys to play in R&B? It varies. It definitely varies. I see C a lot. I see D, A, G, sometimes B flat, but it's not really, it really boils down to the artist. Certain artists will pick a key that sounds good for their vocal range, and so that would just be the key that they use. So it's not really like an R&B key per se, it's more like the key that the artist prefers. Okay, second method. So after you've done your research and you've watched as many free tutorials and YouTube videos about the number system and keys and music theory, then if all that stuff is still not sinking in, I do teach private lessons, shameless plug. I teach private lessons on Zoom. So if you need someone to kind of come alongside you and really break this thing down and make it more palatable, make it easier to understand, go ahead and drop me an email at tizoguitar@gmail.com. Tizoguitar, just like the channel name, @gmail.com. Say, hey, I'm interested in lessons, and I will send you some info as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you got value out of today's lesson, please don't forget to do all the fun algorithm stuff, like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that. I will drop the link to the Patreon page that has all of the practice files and the PDFs, and it has the 3 other versions of going to the number system. I'll drop that as a pinned comment after this video uploads. What else? Let me make sure. Let me check my notes and see if I forgot anything. The chord shapes. I always forget to mention this. So the chord shapes that we went over today, there are one of many. What I did a while back is I put together a compilation, put together a library of the most common R&B chords, or most common chords I've seen in R&B music over my 15 years of playing, and put them all into one resource for you. It's called Tizo's R&B Chord Library, Volume 1. That will be available for purchase. It's going to really narrow down the amount of chords you need to learn. I give about 2 to 3 different voicings or different shapes for every chord type. So some of them have the root on the 6th string, some have the root on the 5th string, and some have the root on the 4th string. If you know those shapes, I don't think many more chords would be used besides those. The 4th string root shapes aren't as common, but I think it's handy to know them just in case. And yeah, so that will be, the link to that will be in the description below, as well as some other resources. You can follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, and here, of course. That's about all I got for you. I don't want to hang you up. Let me just check chat one more time. Him says, thanks. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for watching. Guitar Reese says, great job, man. Love your channel. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate it. I'm working hard here. Barrage Beats. He says, hey, bro, I've been playing the guitar for like 10 years now. I'm only 18, though. Well, that's good. You got started early. I started playing guitar when I was 13, 14. And I only recently got into playing the electric guitar. And your channel has really been helping me with my solos. Oh, I appreciate that. I'm happy to help. I always love hearing that. That's something that really makes my day. The nice comments, and sometimes I get emails from people talking about, they've learned some stuff, and or things have finally made sense to them after they watch my channel. That stuff hits me right here. That's what I do this for. So I'm glad that you're getting some use out of that. The plan right now, I haven't been good about this, but the plan right now is to stream twice a week. Right now, I've just been doing the Saturday streams. Probably do like a midweek, maybe Wednesday or Tuesday-ish stream. And I wanted to introduce some different things, because I don't just play guitar. I play bass, I play drums. I also produce. So it would be good to show that side of things too. So maybe I'll do some things about like how to record guitar, or what to think about when you're mixing, that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below. I would be happy to do that kind of stuff. Fred Brown says, do you have a simple song in mind that this could apply to? So the thing is, I don't know any song that goes through all of the chords in the number system. That's the only thing. Especially if it's a simple song, right? Because simple songs are, 2 chords, or two to 3, 2 to 4. So what you could do is, just to start with the idea of that, you could play the song Peaches. I have a tutorial for Peaches by Justin Bieber, Giveon, and who else is in that song? I'm blanking right now, I'm sorry. But Peaches by Justin Bieber, you learn that song. That chord progression is a 1, 2, 3, 4, or it's a 4, 3, 2, 1, okay? So as you're playing that song, right, when you learn the chords, I'm not sure of the exact key right now, but I think it might be in C. As you're playing that, wake up camera 2, as you're playing that progression, right, whatever it is, I want you to say out loud the number of the chord, okay? So if we're doing a 4, 3, 2, 1 in the key of C, we want to say 4, 3, 2, 1. That's what I want you to do. It might feel silly to say it out loud, but do it anyway. Do it in your bedroom so no one can see you. And even as you're going through that drill or that pattern we did today, say the numbers, don't say the chord names. So just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. There's no 8. Don't say 8. Then practice maybe jumping around. After you've done this for a while and it feels good and you don't have to think about it anymore, then challenge yourself to move between different ones. So like go 1 to 7. Right? Or 1 to the 7 up here. Go from 1 to 4. Go from 3 to 6. Whatever it is. But think about it in terms of the numbers, not the specific chords. Because if you think about it in terms of numbers, you can always apply that to other keys, which is what we're going for here. All right. I appreciate the questions. We'll do last call. If you have any questions about what we went over today or anything about guitar in general, go ahead and let me know about that. And I believe in the description below, there's also a form where you could submit specific song requests for me to break down, as well as just ideas for different videos. So if you want to learn about stuff like arpeggios, or you want to learn about different scales, so like, not just the major scale, but maybe the minor scale, maybe the modes of the major scale, Dorian, Phrygian, Aeolian, all that stuff. Let me know. I definitely want to know what my audience is into and what they'd like to learn. And if I can help, I will. And if I can't, I'll point you to someone who can. So, all right. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be back next week. No, will I be back next week? Next weekend stream is going to be canceled. That's my birthday weekend. And so there won't be any stream next Saturday, but we'll get back to it on the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be busy on that Saturday. Okay, so we're going to get back to on the 24th. There might still be like some midweek streams going on, but they'll be shorter. But the next Saturday stream will be on June 24th, 12 p.m. Eastern. All right, let's go ahead and mark your calendars. Fred is saying relative, major, minor. Oh, that whole concept. Okay. So yes, I will do a stream on that, but very simply put, relative major and relative minor, it's a major key and a minor key that have the exact same notes and chords in them. That's all it is. So the perfect example of that would be C major and A minor. C major has C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Those are the notes. And A minor has A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So same exact notes, just different order. And then the same thing will happen like with the chords that apply. So within the number system, 1, 4, 5 are major chords. 2, 3, and 6 are minor chords, and 7 is a diminished chord. That slightly changes if you're going into a minor situation. So in a minor key, the 1, 4, and 5 are minor, the 2 is diminished, and the 3, the 6, and the 7 are major chords. All right, but that's all complex. Honestly, you really don't have to think of things in terms of a minor key. You can convert everything to the major key and it will still work the exact same way. It's just going to be different numbers. All right, I will let you guys get back to your weekend. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will see you in 3 weeks on the Saturday streams. I might see you mid-stream sometime over the next 2 weeks. But take care, and I will catch you next time.